Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yohan, and thank you for tuning in to Yo Frags. Today we'll be going over a new fragrance and a new brand that I haven't talked about before, and it is from the House of Xerjoff, and this is from the Coffee Break collection, Golden Moka. If you aren't familiar with these fragrances, I highly recommend you check out the brand Xerjoff. I have yet to be disappointed. Actually, the one fragrance that I was not the biggest fan of was Tony Iommi Monkey Special. We can talk about that another time, but today I have the pleasure of presenting to you guys my favorite bottle from the Coffee Break collection, Golden Moka. The top notes are blood orange, and other citruses. At least prominent notes that I get is really mainly blood orange and orange. In the mids we have coffee, amber, incense, and then the base there's some green notes with more incense and labdanum. Now, if you're looking for a true coffee fragrance, I will say you will be disappointed. And let me start off by saying, in no way, sense, or form does that mean I don't think this is a good fragrance. It was a little disappointing at first because, when you see Coffee Break, when you see these, kind of scents, you would assume, oh yeah, these are all going to be a very heavy coffee fragrance. But in reality, this is more of a fruity, incensey, ambery fragrance more than anything. What I get is in the top notes, like for the first 45 to anywhere from like 45 to 55 minutes, I get this strong blood orange, and then amongst that blood orange you get some fruity notes with a little bit of that warm incense and that amber that comes through. Coffee, to be honest, like I don't really smell it that much. If I really search for it, I get hints here and there, but it's more like if you had a cup of coffee with a bunch of fruits and oranges, where it's like those will always overpower it and you don't expect that anymore. It is still there very slightly. Thankfully, the incense here isn't a super dark or smoky or like a church incense. Me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of that. It does have to be very specific in the way I personally like my incense. For instance, a lot of Amouage's fragrances, they have like a signature incense note that I detect on my skin, and for most of their fragrances, I actually can't get behind. There was only a couple that I really enjoyed and got bottles of. That was Interlude Black Iris, Enclave, and I believe Beach Hut Man, which I believe in the Oceania video. But here this incense is much cleaner and slightly even fresh, and I think that's because of the green notes that are in here, where it gives this almost like sweet freshness. Not clean in the sense of like how lavender would bring to a fragrance, but it almost brings like think of orange leaves, where it's still very bright, it still has that citrus, but then slightly aromatic, which kind of ties it all in together, and it prevents that incense from really getting almost too smoky or like a church pew. I don't know the exact smell, right? But I think when I envision it, when I close my eyes and when I smell this, those are the two types of incenses that I've always experienced. Longevity here, beast mode fragrance, 12 plus hours on my skin. Projection wise, easily past arm's length. If you overspray, it will, in my humble opinion, it will be cloying. I think 3 sprays is more than enough, 5 at the very max if you're going to be outside and about. In terms of the season, I think you can get away with wearing this in like the springtime. If you're out for like a cafe or you're going on a date, or you're gonna be moving around a lot, I think that obviously depending on what you're doing, control the sprays. But I think this is a wonderful fragrance. I mean, even look at the bottle, right? Like Xerjoff bottles, they're second to none. Like I love the design, like the red gradient. I know I showed Roja Vetiver Parfum Cologne. Like I'm honestly a sucker for those gradients. Oh, I know I mentioned this last time, but I'm also a sucker for presentation. I love Xerjoff's presentation. All of Xerjoff's fragrances come in this fragrance sits perfectly. I love the attention to detail here. All of them sit nicely here. And if you wanted to display these, you could even open it up properly. I am a sucker, if you couldn't tell. But I digress. Takes up too much space, who cares about the box and presentation? Yeah, I'll be honest, the amount of Xerjoff boxes I have is kind of overwhelming at times. But I could not be happier with the actual scent itself. If you are looking for a super heavy coffee fragrance, definitely don't pick this up. You will be disappointed. It is not what you think it is. But if you want a very fruity, incensey, ambery, but still maintains that freshness and that cleanliness, never gets too dirty, very radiant, very smooth, perfect fragrance for you. One thing I really love about this fragrance, and honestly I think a lot of Xerjoff's fragrances, there is almost a constant pull between like light and dark with these fragrances, where there's so much depth, there's so much complexity, all these notes that come together. The blend is so well done. It never like they don't fight for who's at the top. Like you get hints of everything, and even sometimes like they create like that accord where it's just a whole new scent in itself. And I think this fragrance is really represents that well, especially within the first 30 minutes of you get this really, really bright blood orange and like this almost juicy, like you can almost taste it, but then you get that amber, that incense there, and like I said earlier, like the slightest amount of coffee. I love fragrances like these where it pulls you in so many directions, and I think that's what makes them so appealing. So if you want to try out Xerjoff, I think there are more approachable fragrances to start off with. Do I think Golden Moka is a great buy? 100%. I fully think this is blind buy worthy if you like blood orange. But again, I always say try before you buy. There's a lot of decant websites, a lot of different communities you can go on Reddit or Facebook. Highly recommend giving this a try. So that was Xerjoff's from the Coffee Break collection, Golden Moka. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Yohan. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Stay safe and God bless.